And welcome to the Crochet Crowd live here home studio. I am just working on a project that I started the other night, and I ripped it all apart, and now I'm restarting, and I'm just kind of hanging out with you. What's on your mind? You can talk to me through the chat and etc. And I'm just going to sit here, and I'm working on a knitting hat that I did the whole brim for it yesterday, but it's too loose. I can tell that it is. So I'm redoing my work with the smaller knitting needle to do that. So I just ran a tutorial filming. I haven't put it out because I just did it, but I did a tutorial about sizing and gauge. So yeah, so I'm using Karen and Pantone, a discontinued yarn, and I'm just going to recast on and start all over. So I know that if the brim is not going to be the right size, then the hat's not going to be wearable. So welcome. So you can introduce who you are, where you're from. Are you a knitter, crocheter? Are you something in between, and etc. And you can chat within yourselves as well. There's going to be parts of this chat where I'm going to just have to be quiet just for a few minutes just to be able to count my stitches, just to get myself on the right track. So Jeannie is joining us live. Jeannie has I haven't been on the news at all, but is the hurricane, is that in motion down in Florida? I haven't been on the news at all to see what's going on with that, and I haven't seen anything on Facebook about it. So yeah, so we have people joining us now, and thank you so much for joining me on this afternoon and just kind of hanging out, seeing what's on your mind. I really like the YouTube chat versus other platforms to have the live chat on. Um, so I kind of like this space a lot better, but you know, who knows. So I've been kind of working through my knitting journey as I've been sharing on YouTube and also on the social media on Facebook. So I've been learning a lot of interesting things. Actually, I have a new appreciation for yarn. So I asked a couple of friends if they could donate me back some yarn for a yarn that was discontinued, because there's some great patterns with it that I want to try it with. And I'm using Karen and Pantone right now. And as a knitter, the yarn was okay, but as a crocheter, the yarn was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but as a knitter, holy cow, what a different experience. So I'm learning that the different yarns are different and behave differently on the equipment that you use. So that's kind of what's going on here. So Jeannie says that it's just wind and rain where she is. She's now part of Florida. So yeah, so she kind of retired and headed on down to Florida. It's a neat thing I always find about Americans is that you can literally retire and move and stay within your country and change complete weather demographics or weather geography or whatever it's called. Here in Canada, you can only go so far before you pretty much almost always in snow. Certain areas of Canada doesn't, on the west coast for sure. And so you guys have that luxury if you're American to do that, and depending where you are in the world today. Yeah, so it's kind of a neat idea. So I got my hair cut this afternoon, just kind of did my thing. Just it was kind of bothering me. Actually, I went and grabbed a cup of tea, and the hairdresser that I normally go to was standing there in line, and I asked her if she was busy, and she wasn't. So I just followed her back to the salon and just got my hair done. So yeah. So we have that. So if you need to send us photos, you can contact us through our YouTube channel, or sorry, through our website, thecrochetcrowd.com. Put in the search engine, contact the Crochet Crowd, and you can find us there. I won't put my email address on a chat at all for privacy reasons, because then you get every spammer that possibly exists ends up picking up that email, and then you end up getting spammed to death. So it's one of those things you got to guard your personal information on certain platforms, and I know email is a good one to kind of keep to yourself on the social media. So yeah, so what else is going on in people's lives? So I'd like to give out while I'm just yapping here. I'd like to give a shout out to Jeannie for sure. Jeannie stepped forward on the weekend to help me with the knitting crowd, a secondary YouTube platform. I can't do 2 platforms on my own. It just isn't possible. I just can't mentally handle it. So she's taking over that side of the social. I'm providing all the content and getting it all set up for her. But then she runs with it with scheduling and monitoring and the whole 9 yards. So that has been really much of a help. If it wasn't for her, I don't know what I would be doing that too. So Tive needs also a shout out, according to them. Yeah. So what else do we have going on? So happy birthday to me on Saturday, says Carol. So she's wishing herself a happy birthday. And so the birthday things I don't really get much into. I actually have my birthday notifications turned off on my Facebook. So friends and stuff have birthdays, but I never hear about it. And I may see something with other people wishing them happy birthdays, but I have my own turned off just because out of respect for that, because I don't really kind of pay attention to that stuff. I've been watching. It feels like you are left-handed or right-handed. So I'm a right-handed person. The crochet videos are in both formats, but it's just a camera flip. But in knitting, apparently you cannot camera flip in knitting. It just doesn't work for the lefties. So I had several people complain about it because I did it originally, and then I contacted somebody I trust, and they said that's not possible to do a camera flip with knitting. So you'll never see me knitting left-handed on the knitting crowd for sure. So and basically, if I could do a camera flip and provide it, it'd be awesome. But it's visually wrong for however I don't understand it exactly, but I was just told it doesn't work, so I'll just stay with that. So off camera, I'm unraveling something that I worked on yesterday. So who here has like a stitching group that they kind of hang out with? Anybody have one of those? We have ours on Wednesday nights, and it's kind of fun. I like just to hang out and social and find out what's going on in the community. Everybody's comes from a different background, so everybody's got a different perspective on what's happening around the area. Yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to learn to knit. Crochet is my thing, but I'm trying to push myself in it. I'm trying to push myself to learn something new. I think it's important that you always keep learning in some way. So it requires a different mentality. And originally, the first few weeks was kind of rough, like sandpaper on the ass rough. But it eventually, or like one ply toilet paper. But eventually, I kind of just clicked. And I realized different yarns behave differently on my knitting needle. So my knitting that with the Red Heart Super Saver looked like shit. And yet my knitting with another brand looked amazing. So I realized that the brands have a lot to do with how my tension is. And so I just got to keep practicing, right? So yeah. So practice makes perfect. And if you don't really like it, then you don't do it, right? That's kind of how it goes. So I think, so somebody says to use your, so somebody must have watched I put out a Facebook message that I recorded a few days ago. I really wanted to kind of talk about on the Facebook video there that, the whole idea of getting your brain to be different. It's like when people have a lifestyle purge and they suddenly just change, something in their life. It kind of creates a whole domino effect of things. And sometimes it makes you meet new people. And yeah. So I am apparently doing traditional English knitting. That's what I've been told. So I don't want to learn continental. A lot of people have been hounding me to learn continental, but I don't want to. It's personal. So yeah, so that's kind of you got to stick with what you're most comfortable with. So I just feel like if I can get my work done and I'm happy with it, then the only person I really have to impress is myself. But I like to show my mom and do her proud. That's kind of ultimately my goal. Yeah. So continental knitting is amazing. I see that people doing it. I just don't want to do it. It's just not something I want to. I'm just not interested. Yeah. Yeah, my mom actually, the only platform my mom follows me is on YouTube here. So she'll contact me once in a while saying, "Oh my God, you did such a good job in that video and stuff." And so my mom originally didn't understand YouTube, so there was a little bit of disconnect in my family because of it. Originally, she perceived it as a platform. Well, let's just be honest, she didn't understand the internet. So she thought that when I was doing this whole thing in the beginning, that I was literally airing all the dirty laundry and a lot of crap like that. Um, and so she didn't really understand it. So we became disconnected over. I posted something about my sister's cat, and my sister's cat was homicidal, big time. And so anyway, I posted about it. My mom got word of it, and she was really, really furious about it. And I said, "Well, I'm doing all this crochet stuff, but it didn't matter because I posted the damn cat, right?" And so my mom was not approving of me being on YouTube at all for like years and years and years. And then it wasn't until my aunt came along several years later and said, Michael's actually doing this. And he has a group of community members online that follow along with the whole teaching and stuff. And by the time she had done that, my aunt had done that, I kind of gotten rid of all the video logs and a lot of the crap. Um, and anyway, it was and because of that, my mom came around and said, she understands it now. So she actually subscribes to this channel, which is kind of neat. So yeah. So my mom is, how old is my mom? My mom is about 72. No, what is she now? She's 70. She's about 72. She might, I think she's around 72, still working. I don't know how she's still working, but she's still working because she has to. You know how it is. You get to a certain age and you can't afford to retire. Things in life just didn't work out properly, so that's kind of where my mom is. So where you can step in to help, then that you got to do what you got to do, right? And so in that sense, I kind of feel sad for her, but you know, just how the cards lay out, they're just not perfect for anybody. Yeah. So now I'm really going to get in trouble for telling my mom's age. My mom is actually not sensitive about that kind of stuff. She's proud of herself in that sense. You basically, when you look at me, you're looking at a reflection of my mom. Just kind of in the mentality and also in the humor. My mom has a really fun sense of humor. So if you think my innuendo is a little bit off, you haven't met my family. So I am 49, so I'm close to 50. So yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're about. Did the cat murder anybody? No, but it could have. It was really awful. Anyway, there's still a video online on the Bing network, Bing, not Google, but Bing, of the cat. And anyway, that video, somebody grabbed it and it's still online. And anyway, it's outrageous. So Irene's asking, do you still have cats? We have still Puss Puss and Binky Boo, and they're both SPCA um, rescues. I have to say that because I've been a cat person my entire life, having a dog was really much of a pain in the ass. Like, I'm like, oh my God. And anyway, I've come to the point where I prefer the dogs over the cats. Don't tell the cats that too loudly, but I just find that the cats are so difficult to read, and they're there just for the friggin' food. Where the dogs, that companionship, they're really much connected to you. They're like Daniel's little shadow here at the house. I find it's nice to have a dog, and I never thought that. So um, I've been thinking about, and then it's not going to happen, but I was thinking about it. If anybody wanted two cats, I'd be happy with that. Yeah, so that's kind of what we have. I watch you all the time. I thought you were in your 30s, so I have young skin, I guess. Um, yeah, and a young mentality, depending on where I am. So still acting like a 4-year old, eat like a 10-year old. I'm a very basic person in that sense. So anyway, so Pamela is saying hello today, and so Salty and Puppy Dog, they're both Great Pyrenees mix, and they sleep during pretty much during the day, so that's why you're not seeing them right now. But then they wake up around dinner time, and then they're like, "Oh my God!" So they are very much of a night breed. So if you're ever thinking about a dog, and you want to sleep at night, the Pyrenees are a night dog, but they're settling down to a certain degree. So I'm just going to count my stitches. I've just been kind of holding. So let me just count. I need 72. So talks amongst yourselves. Any topic goes. Counting. I don't know what it is. I have no explanation for this in the knitting world. Every time I cast on, I seem to always end up with 68 stitches. I always say, okay, I think it's enough, and it's always 68. I don't even know how that's even possible because I'm not counting. It's just kind of a fluke. So I'm just going to count, make sure I have 72. Seems like my brain seems to know it's 68 and stops. And the 72 is the magic number. Okay, so let me just reorganize my knitting. Oh no. So one thing I've come to realize in knitting too is that it's all about the stitch marker. I can't, apparently that is a thing, and now that I've started, you really cannot knit without stitch markers, at least what I've been doing. So I'm doing a Fair Isle knit hat. So we'll have to, I just got to make sure I keep my counts proper in the first round. So just continue to talk amongst yourselves. This is live chat, and I just got to make sure I get around the first round. So I'm knitting 3, purling 1. So how I say that to myself, because I kept screwing it up, is that I just kind of come up with a memory hook that makes sense for me. Okay, so I will do that and just keep on chatting. So 1, 2, 3, and purl. Instead of 4, it's purl. Okay, and then keep on going. So knit 1, 2, 3, and purl. Knit 1, 2, 3, and purl. 1, 2, 3, and purl. And 1, 2, 3, and purl. The first round always is tough, at least for me. 1, 2, 3, and purl. 1, 2, and 3. And purl. 1, 2, 3, and purl. 1, 2, 3, and purl. 1. I'll be, for those that are just joining us, I'll be live and I'll be chatting more in a bit. I just got to count the first round. 2, 3, and 4. And 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is purl. 1, 2, 3, and 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 purl. And I'm at the stitch marker, so I'm good. And my stitch counts are bang on, so it's good. Okay, so we're now back, and I just basically have to follow the stitch work as it's been set out now. So I just have to do like the brim is very much like a brim of a crochet hat, where it's got the texture, but the stitches all line up together so I can tell. Do I struggle with? I have not been struggling with the tension because I don't think I'm scared of the yarn. So I think that's been my benefit to this whole process. Um, I'm not scared to drop the yarn like I was in the very beginning of this. So I'm only 2 months in. So tomorrow is my 2 month anniversary of learning to knit, and so I'm not scared to make a mistake anymore, and I'm not scared to drop a stitch, and I'm not scared just to put my knitting down and forget. So yeah. So does anybody use safety lines? No, no, I haven't for sure. I think I put out a video. I'm not sure if it's live yet. It's probably not live, on how to tink and go back and fix errors. Um, yeah. So I don't like coffee. Yeah, this is a tea. It's a big one too. So I very much like my tea, like royal tea, milk and sugar. I don't like cream. So the invisible fence situation is not fixed. They finally returned our call yesterday after several calls going in. So we're still waiting for the consultant to give us a call back. So yeah, we had another incident with the dog. So unfortunately, we're just gotta work our way through it. I gotta put a note. I gotta contact my neighbors. So all of our neighbors here share the same Facebook group on this for the whole. All of us are on there. So if we have to message each other, then we can just leave a message on the group. So I've been planning on. I meant to do it. I haven't done it yet. Let them know that we're having a bit of an issue, so they know the dog's name and etc. So I do use a crochet hook for drop stitches, Irene. Yep, it's a good one to point out. And it is a Timmy's cup. I'm trying to wean myself off. Some days I'm more successful than others. It's been a rough week. Just the social media has been kind of rough. So I've just been just kind of working my way through it. And Timmy's is kind of my Tim Hortons is kind of my go-to for mentality sake. Um, Honestly, if I didn't have Timmy's, I would probably be banging down a bag of chips every day, or pie or some other crap. So I'm really good about not ordering the food there, just the drink. So in one sense, it gets me out of the house just for a few minutes. Yeah. Do you catch the floats when you do fair out? This particular hat, you don't. Apparently, that's in Tarja. So that's something I learned last week. So I am learning some stuff. I just haven't posted stuff um, about it. So, I have to come up with a lesson if I teach stuff like that online. So the whole mean thing is it's just society. It's just the way things are. It's just some days it just hits you hard. So they have a question. So Bella has a question. I made the puff cat paw motifs, and I want to make a blanket out of them, but I have no clue how to connect them. The puff stitch cat paw motifs. So I would do on that question. I would do think about you could do joining with a slip stitch to join to make it tight, or you could single crochet them together. I prefer a whip stitch on the back loop of of the motifs to make it as an invisible join. So if you want to take a look at this channel, go invisible join, and that's how I would join it. But I don't know exactly um, the the motif you're talking about. So my Timmy's Genie is closing at the end of December. That's when everything's going to change. So if I'm manic online, you know why. Yeah. Yeah. So have to head out, says Terry. Terry Thayer. Terry, are you from the cruise? I know that name. I think she's from the cruise. I think she's one of our green people. Yeah. 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 What do you think you'll replace your Timmy's with? I don't know. I don't know that answer, but I know with addiction that you have to replace it with something else. Because if you go cold turkey, it's almost impossible. So you have to replace one addiction for another, or replace the addiction with something else that's just as enjoyable. And yeah, so Jeannie is going to put on my withdrawal. Yeah, you probably should actually. Ate there all day long. Ate there all day long. Oh my God. So I think so. Tim Hortons more upscale than McDonald's, but not as fancy as Starbucks. Yeah, it could be. I don't know that answer. I don't go to McDonald's for tea. It doesn't taste the same. And then Starbucks just opened here like a couple weeks ago. I haven't been. Apparently, it's been really busy, and it's not a standalone store. They just put it inside one of the grocery stores, which makes a lot of sense for our region. So apparently, the line's pretty busy, but I have not been in yet. So we're waiting for everybody to calm down off them. I wanted to square them off somehow, and now I have piles of paws with no blanket. So what you could do, if you need to square them off, trace one of them on some graph paper, Bella, and just draw the shape, and then just try to think about how the stitches you will need to square those off. And that's how I would do it. And make sure you record your concept so that you can repeat them on your paws over and over and over. And that's what I would do if it were me. Anybody else have any ideas for that? Get to see you again. So I can't wait to meet you again in 2023. What's in 2023? Praying again. Oh, for the Jimmy Beans retreat. Yeah, there's been quite a few people uh, frothing at the mouth to make sure they get in that. And Bella, no problem. Yeah, there's been quite a few people that are just frothing at the mouth to get into that retreat situation, but it's gonna be interesting how that goes. And I'm excited about it, to be honest with you, just to get back into that kind of environment again. So I haven't been doing any workshops in person at all, and that'd be kind of fun. And so Jeannie will be there, and Daniel's not coming. He's going to be watching the dogs. But I have other team members. Anita, Tiffany will be coming with us. Um, who am I missing? Oh, Wendy. Wendy's going to be with us as well. Wendy's out of California, so she's driving in. So we are cruising, but we're no longer doing crochet cruises. That's over. The idea of the sponsorship got really complicated, so it's easier just to travel with us without having to do the workshops. But I think people liked getting that much yarn and they liked that concept. But in today's era with the pandemic and the shipping delays and the whole 9 yards, I think it was we were going to retire it anyway, but it just seems like it made sense that we did. And because it gets really, really complicated if you can't find trucking to move your stuff around and etc. So I think some people are disappointed with that it's gone. Yeah. Is there videos on how to line crochet work like pants as a dresser? There could be. I don't get into that kind of stuff. So he was saving the best for last. Of course, Wendy. Stop making sense. And don't be throwing Jeannie under the bus like that. So we have a good relationship with our team behind the scenes. At least I think we do. But yeah, we do. And it's nice to be able to talk to my team in my own language, which is pretty interesting at times. And I can't spell worth a shit either. So they're pretty good about not correcting me on my spelling. And my grammar sucks. Yeah. Is Timmy's relative to Starbucks? No, I don't think so. No. I think Starbucks, the coffee is not made instantly ready for you to go. It could be, but I don't know that for sure. But the specialty drinks, obviously takes you a bit to get. Yeah. The damn fir tree. I don't know why my phone does that. Yeah, so I don't think it's as equivalent. I just know that I can't afford to go to Starbucks on the same frequency I do with Tim Hortons. I just don't think I can afford that kind of bill. Yeah. Fresh snow in Utah. So yeah, we had some cold flakes the other night, but nothing stayed. And it was just like for a few seconds. So we know it's coming. So it can take its time. Yeah. It's called auto check. Yeah, it keeps checking me, but apparently I actually tried to see if I can remove the word fir tree out of my phone because it keeps defaulting to me that, but apparently I can't. I tried. So you're gonna have to stick up with the fir tree. And I honestly don't care at this point. So I've only just really started knitting. What are we crocheting today? We are crocheting a hat. But I'm technically knitting, but that's okay. I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes. I'm finding a lot of these hats that I'm looking at all have the same base idea on how to get started. So I'm thinking about creating 3 generic tutorials and of how to do something, and then just run it in the videos saying, if you want to get to this part, you need to do such and such and such, and then use those videos as a generic how-to. So I've been thinking about doing that. I just haven't been motivated to want to do it. So Wendy 7100 says she needs a dog sweater. So people said that my dogs need to have a sweater. My dogs are Great Pyrenees. They don't need a sweater. They're already born with one. I can't imagine putting my dogs into a sweater knowing how hot they get. And Salty, our 6-month-old, is still trying to get his undercoat so he can stay warm, but also stay cool. So that's something that we're kind of waiting for. He just has to mature a little bit more. Are there other fiber arts that I enjoy? I would like to try felting, like needle felting. I would like to try that, but it's on my list, but I've never put any effort to that. When I was in primary school, we had to fill out a survey on what we wanted to do with our lives. So this is grade 8 talking. And so I really wanted to be a clothing designer. And my teacher looked at it and says, you're never going to be a clothing designer. And it's kind of like squashed your dream. And it's amazing how something like a split moment like that can kind of just change your whole life. And I kind of almost regret that I didn't follow that idea, because maybe if I would have had some training and stuff, I could have done something with that, or even learned how to know to sew or do anything. And I don't know if it was a mean teacher. I actually like this teacher. Just sometimes the realism of killing a kid's dream can be very real. So yeah. So it is cooling down. So our dogs are loving this temperatures a lot. So it's not uncommon to see puppy dogs sleeping out in the snow, but she's welcome to come in at any time. But she goes down outside to cool down. So you love his shorts. Are you talking about the video shorts? I've been having fun with those things. I actually have a really good one from last night, but I haven't posted it and I haven't edited yet. But my friend Tanya and I were in the aisle at Michael's, and I think I'll leave the rest for you. But we got the giggles in the aisle, and anyway, what we were giggling about is a little adult friendly, and anyway, but I think it's okay to go on YouTube. But yeah. So the crochet versus the knitting. Yeah, I've been having fun with those. Apparently that is the new way to communicate. of the shorts. That's one thing I've had to learn to do this year. So I hired a consultant out of New York City to show me. And yeah. So were we sniffing balls? No, Jeannie, I think we were huffing Christmas plastic. You know how you go into the craft store right now and it smells nothing but like plastic? It's because all the Christmas crap is back out. So I think we were high on the plastic, but we were having a good time. So anyway, so there was one moment where I realized I'm turned sideways. My stomach looks like a snow globe, and I'm like, oh my God, we've got a hole in our stomach. So anyway, it caused us to laugh, and then that was it. It was all completely downhill from there. And all we wanted to do is just do 10 seconds of commenting about the smell of the plastic. And anyway, it just never went on there. It just went to hell in a handbasket. So it was fun. Huffing Xmas plastic. We know that's true, right? We know that's true. You know Christmas has arrived when you go in there and that's all you smell is the plastic. Question about cotton yarn. I want to use it for some projects, but it's always looks so dull to me. Is cotton yarn dull compared to vibrant acrylic? It depends on the brand of that, and it depends on the type of cotton. If it's a mix, it can be different. If you're doing like dish rags and stuff, there is some vibrant stuff out there, but it's all depends on what people want to buy. So if people are not buying vibrant stuff, then they won't make it. But it has nothing to do with the material. So Amy is responding, says, I'm teaching so many things. Teach me, so I can't wait to try learning. Thank you so much for your support, Amy. It's been a hell of a journey. I opened up the crochet or the knitting crowd back up over the weekend. I didn't want to do that, but it was the only solution I could have that could make people happy. But you got to do what you got to do sometimes. So now I have 2 channels to make content for. So Mama says, Mama's craft room. Yeah, you got to do what works for you. Less movement for the shoulders. I know for a man, for me, wrist action is not a problem. Well, the bi-stitch with my mom on the phone. Yeah, I've been having fun with that stuff. So I have a new one tomorrow already done. So I filmed 3 the other morning. So it's part 3 of excuses of if somebody's trying to point out that you're starting another work in progress when you shouldn't be. So that's going to be tomorrow. That's the final one. And then I have a thing that I want to do next week. So maybe you can leave me some ideas here. So I'm showing my age. And I was telling my a person today. I remember seeing In Living Color with Antoine Merriweather, and what was the other gay guy's name? And they always did the episode of Men on Film. Has anybody seen that? Yeah. So if you've seen that, give it a heart. If you know what I'm talking about, right? From In Living Color. And in the 90s, that was like almost taboo that, there would be something like that on TV. And oh my God. So, hello, I'm Antoine Merriweather, and this is Men on Film from a male point of view. And they talk about Robin Hood, him wearing his tights and stuff. And anyway, so I have this thing in my head for, because I just kind of remember that. And so I want to do some kind of skit with the shorts and say, this is Men on Knitting from a male point of view, and really homosexualize it up, just like they did on In Living Color. And I think I could have some fun with that. I have some really good innuendos that I could just totally use. So I've been thinking about it a little bit about it too much, but I could totally have fun with that. Yeah, 2 snaps or around the world and back snap. Could do that. And then when they say in unison, and they say in unison, hated it. Yeah. And then remember the one character ended up turning straight because he got his head bumped. So the other guy is trying to um, hit him with something in order to put him back to being gay again. Oh my God, it's just fun stuff. Just absolutely just atrocious fun. And yeah, three sets. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Zed snap. Hated it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm showing my age by knowing that, but I think it would be kind of fun to do a men on knitting from a male point of view. Um, Somebody was asking me the other day, it says, you got to post more masculine stuff. So I purposely posted a woman in ballet tights and somewhere over the rainbow um, blanket and stuff. And so it's like, so I just thought, the hell with it. I'll just have some fun with it. Yeah, Mrs. Jenkins. Oh God, yeah, Mrs. Jenkins. You never heard that from me. Yeah, but did you hear? But you never heard that with me. So Daniel won't do something like that on camera with me, but it'd be kind of fun. Yeah. So that Mrs. Jenkins and Jim Carrey was just fabulous on that show too. There are some really, really good outtakes. If you're ever looking on YouTube and you need a laugh, there's some really, really good outtakes from that, especially Jim Carrey and the hot chocolate. Um, if you're ever looking for something. So I think it's going to be fun. If I decide to do that, I better gate myself up. Yeah, Fire Marshal Bill. That's right. So I think we're all showing our age here. Somebody was talking to me the other day, and I'm like, "Well, you know Carol Burnett," and they're like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "You are kidding me." Mhm. Yeah, so it's not magic. I don't like much that Jim Carrey does. Yeah, it's what that's the thing about humor is like either people like it or they don't. And usually humor, what makes people laugh is the connection of being authentic to the moment. And so humor can be really fun, but it can also be really cruel. And what makes people laugh is that they have a connection to that, to the punchline in some way. So I think what makes the crocheters laugh in some way is that some of what I'm talking about is basically, what I'm talking about. Yeah. Um, so crocheting instead of the crochet rocket, the male person does that here. Is this the crochet crowd? I'm like, well, it technically is, but it's pronounced crochet. Oh, Miss Piggy with Imani. Oh my God. Miss Piggy's still popular, is she not? Carol Burnett, the best episode went with the wind.